But first, the World Economic Forum is underway, and we've already heard from President Biden's climate czar, John Kerry, and his crazy claims that 50% of species have already gone extinct.
You look at what's happening with species. Half the species of the planet have been already killed.
Not to be outdone, climate change grifter Al Gore, the other dude who managed to lose a presidential election to George W. Bush, he went on an unhinged rant with claims of boiling oceans, rising sea levels, and 1 billion climate refugees.
And melting the ice and raising the sea level and causing these waves of climate refugees predicted to reach 1 billion in this century.
1 billion? Oh my goodness. Now, when you hear all that, it's easy to dismiss the World Economic Forum as some sort of a clown show. But no, this is a serious gathering of the world's best minds. Powerful stuff indeed. Take it away, Tucker.
Ooh, thank you for watching.
I can't stop. But before we cross to the first Outsiders Guest of the Year, what must you be thinking listening to this? I want to bring you some good news for those who think the next generation is too indoctrinated with radical left lunacy to ever see sense. Well, last week during the debate at the Oxford Union Society, with an audience full of young lefties, a brave comedian and podcaster, Konstantin Kisin, arguing that woke culture had gone too far, won over the room, not by trying to appease them, but by laying out the cold, hard facts about free speech, race politics, and in particular, climate change.
Now, I want to talk to those of you who are woke and who are open to rational argument. A small minority, I accept. Because one of the tenets of wokeness is, of course, that your feelings matter more than the truth. But I believe in you. I believe there are those of you here who are woke, who are open to rational argument, so let me make one. We are told that your generation cares more than any other about one issue in particular, and that issue is climate change. If Britain was to sink into the sea right now, it would make absolutely no difference to the issue of climate change. You know why? Because the future of the climate is going to be decided in Asia and in Latin America by poor people who couldn't give a about saving the planet.
You see, Konstantin believes that young people, even some who we may think are too hopelessly brainwashed for sense and rationality, well, he thinks they're not a lost cause. He believes young people are persuadable even when it comes to the religious-like zealotry they bring to the climate change debate. Unlike our gutless politicians who gave up on debate and signed up to net zero and to electoral annihilation, Konstantin argued with facts. He argued with reason and principle. Have a listen.
120 million people in China do not have enough food. I don't mean that they don't get dessert. I mean they suffer from malnutrition. That means that their immune system is breaking down because they don't have enough food. You're not going to get them to stay poor. Imagine you're Xi Jinping, the leader of China. When you were 10 years old, there was a revolution, a cultural revolution in your country, and people came and they put your father in prison. Your mother had to denounce him. Your sister killed herself. And you, no longer enjoying the protection of your formerly powerful father, were sent to a village where you lived in a cave house. And here you are, decades later. You have clawed your way up the bloody and greasy pole of Chinese politics to be the undisputed supreme leader of the very Communist Party that destroyed your family. And you know that the main thing you have to do to survive and to stay in power is to deliver the one thing that the people of China want: prosperity, economic growth. Where do you think climate change ranks on Xi Jinping's list of priorities? A third of all children who live in extreme poverty in the world live in India. That means they are starving and dying of preventable disease.
Pretty powerful stuff, but he really delivered the message home by asking his young audience whether they'd be willing to sacrifice their living standards, their health and prosperity to achieve their climate goals. And he ended the debate on this very strong message.
Now, if you said to me that I had a choice, either my son had a serious risk of starving or dying from a preventable disease in the next year, or I could press a button and he would live. He would go to school. He would bring his first girlfriend home. He'd go to university and graduate and become a woke idiot. And then he'd get a job and get married and have children and become a man. But all I have to do is press this button. And for every day of my son's life, a giant plume of CO2 is going to get released into the atmosphere. Now, you're all very young, and most of you are not parents. Let me tell you something. There is not a parent in the world who would not smash that button so hard their hand bled. And the only thing that wokeness has to offer in exchange is to brainwash bright young minds like you to believe that you are victims, to believe that you have no agency, to believe that what you must do to improve the world is to complain, is to protest, is to throw soup on paintings.
Now, in a result that surprised many, Constantine's team, which argued that woke culture had gone too far, won the debate, 89 to 60. There's still hope for the Zoomers and millennials.